Quiet on set. Roll camera. Action.
Hello and welcome to this very special episode. I'm Josh.
I'm Mitch.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Tarrell.
You're Tarrell. For everyone who doesn't know this, Tarrell Christie, great filmmaker. He's our guest today. He's been on the show before. Episode 104, if you want to go check it out. After you check this out, of course. Yeah, thank you for doing this. This is a very exciting time for you. You just released your film, Miles, a Spider-Man fan film, through your Lost Utopia films. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, it's very weird because it's like a really good moment and like a really bad time.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's very weird. Like, you know, sometimes I almost feel guilty, I guess, for like feeling really good about this. But like, it has been a project that I've been working on, you know, for the last few years. So like, just to have it done and out and people are actually liking it, it's just, it's so weird, but I of course enjoy it. You know, I'm not gonna lie. It's super cool. I love, you know, seeing people's different reactions to it and everything. So I'm just kind of trying to ride that wave as long as I can before the crushing, you know, reality of the world.
Of course. But I think the movie does serve as a good escape piece too. You know, it is a good distraction in a way, and it's very representative, I think. And I think it's a great film. And yeah, it is tough to, you know, I mean, that's just how it is with everything right now. You know, films are being pushed back for, you know, the COVID. But if a film ever had to do with a real life tragedy, you know, like 9/11, they would push the film back and things like that. But thankfully, I think your film just has a great message, and it's just very well done. And
thank you.
It's still getting all the attention I think it deserves. And like you said, you've been working on this for a few years now. Miles Morales itself, it's a very fascinating character. I remember this character being created maybe after, I think it was when they were rebooting Spider-Man the second time. I think a lot of people wanted Donald Glover to be cast, and didn't he kind of have an inspiration in this character's creation? Do you recall?
I'm not sure about inspiration. I know like Stan Lee was a really big, you know, person on the side of having him play Spider-Man. Like he was really excited about that idea. If I remember right, I think it's after they killed Peter Parker in the Ultimate comic series. That's when they decided to bring in Miles Morales. It was a really cool comic book too. Just because you actually have, you know, the death of a hero, which is always a really big thing in comics when that happens, regardless if they come back, you know, in a couple months or whatever.
Somehow, some way.
Yeah, it was just really cool to like, you know, you've had Peter Parker for all these decades, and now suddenly there's a new Spider-Man. His powers are different.
Sure.
And that kind of, for me as a storyteller, kind of opened things up when I was telling Miles, because I wasn't, you know, Peter Parker has like over 50 years of history to him. And so things are kind of, it's in a box. You can try and do new things with Peter Parker, but you kind of have limits. But Miles Morales, I feel like he still has so many more stories to be told that you can kind of, you know, go off script a little bit with it and still have something that feels true to the character.
Exactly. When did you first become a Spider-Man fan?
Ooh, I don't remember the exact time. I know it was probably about late 90s. I know the earliest memory of Spider-Man I have is playing the PS1 video game with my uncle.
Cool.
Super fun game. I still have it.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, that was, I'd say I was definitely always a Spider-Man fan, but it didn't really happen until the first Sam Raimi movie came out. Because like at that point, like you just have never seen it done in live action before.
Sure.
It was always either animated or comics, but actually being in a theater and see it, this is like the next level for me.
Well, Steve saw it back in the 70s, right, Steve? When it was...
Well, there was a TV show in the 70s, Spider-Man.
Oh, I do remember that.
You might not want to remember it.
It's fairly forgettable, but it was, you know, it was a product of the time, right? I mean, it was...
Sure.
You know, when I was a kid, I was, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years old when it came out, and I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. But, you know, you look back at it now, and the coolest thing in the world in 1978 is a little bit different than 2020. So
right.
Yeah, I definitely, I remember my grandpa showing me, I think it was like that show, the Lou Ferrigno Incredible Hulk.
That was a good show.
Just those type of shows. So I think I just kind of blended them all together, but there's definitely, I think, a quality leap between Hulk and Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Yeah, the Tobey Maguire films definitely made it possible. You know, I think James Cameron wanted to make them, or make one, like when he was riding that Titanic wave of popularity. And yeah, I think it was going to star Leo. I know there's a script out there somewhere, but yeah, it was
it's
amazing.
very weird.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. That's probably why it never happened. Maybe he reused some of that material for Avatar. We don't know, but have to get him on the show.
You should not be here.
There you go. That's it. That's it.
Boy, it never got made.
Yeah. So yeah, Spider-Man as a character, Tarrell, what stands out to you about that character and the takeaways of that character?
Yeah, I think the thing I love most about Spider-Man, which I think is the thing like everyone will say they love about Spider-Man, is just the fact that he's easily kind of the one you can relate to the most. You know, he's not the strongest in the world that he lives in. He's not the smartest, but he gives it his all for better or worse. And I think especially what I love about his stories is how they show like the cause and effect. Like he'll do something that's good, but because of that, you know, Gwen Stacy dies or someone else dies. And I think it's just such like a tragic thing to happen to a character like that essentially is just like a young kid, you know, that's just trying to be good in the world. And something about that has just always really attracted me to Spider-Man.
It's like almost every age group could relate to it because, you know, if as an adult you were once a kid, so you can relate to that. And if you're a kid, of course, you're in the moment. Is all that
exactly
too. Yeah. I don't know if an older Peter Parker has been much popular as like, you know, a Peter Parker in his high school years, let's say. Has Spider-Man been an adult much in the comics, or has it always been just the kid aspect people like about him?
I think that they've really done a nice job blending the two a little bit, but they've really focused on him more outside of the Ultimate Universe, being an adult. I don't know, maybe mid-90s forward, you know, him and Mary Jane got married. Right. And they've done a million reboots since, but yeah, they've kind of flirted with both of it. But I mean, I really think that, you know, that 70s, 80s, 90s, early 90s Spider-Man when he was younger, I mean, that was really a kind of the big boom period for him.
Sure.
Tarrell, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's not a whole lot of stories that go beyond like, I'd probably say maybe like his 30s. I might be wrong, but from what I've seen, I haven't seen much that go beyond that. But what's cool is that even at like an older age, I still think people can really relate to Peter Parker. Look at Into the Spider-Verse, you know, that middle-aged Peter joins Miles on his journey. Like he's still the same Peter Parker you love, despite, you know, being older. He's a little overweight. He's not, you know, quite who he used to be.
Yeah.
So like, honestly, I think if you write Peter Parker at any age, I think you can always find a way to make it, you know, work.
I would agree to that. When Miles Morales was first created, what were your initial thoughts on that character? Were you hesitant, or were you all in from the get-go?
I don't know if I was all in at first, just because, you know, comics like to throw things out and sometimes they don't really last or fully commit to them. I bought like the big collection book of, I think it's maybe like the first 10 or 12 issues of the Ultimate series. And I was just on board from then on because it has some similarities to Peter Parker's story, but some things kind of flip on their head and are different. And so it felt like I was, you know, still enjoying a really good Spider-Man comic, but it was still something new. And that was pretty cool.
Nice. So when did you know you wanted to make a film about him?
It actually didn't happen until about 2017. And the whole reason it came is I was really into exercising at the time. So I was always just running around my neighborhood.
Sure.
And I'm a big like movie soundtrack buff. And I absolutely love the soundtrack to the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. So I would listen to those while I was running. And I specifically was listening to this track from Spider-Man 2 that they play when Peter Parker becomes Spider-Man again and he goes off to fight Dr. Octopus and all that. I was listening to that track and I was just picturing that music being used to show like Miles Morales like coming into New York. You know, like that Spider-Man has just now appeared.
Sure.
And like I just couldn't get that idea out of my head. It's just so cool to picture what Miles Morales would be like in that world. And from there, I just kind of always had it in the back of my head. And I don't think it was until late 2018 that I actually sat down and started to write it. Ever since then, I've just been slowly working at it.
Wow. Was it something you wanted to hold off until you made other films before, or other projects?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because when I first started making movies, I think it was right about the time Spider-Man 3 came out, which I'll throw out there. Unpopular opinion, I love that movie.
Really?
Shame to say that. I absolutely love Spider-Man 3.
Do you do like a fan edit or something to make it better, or you like it all?
I'll say the only part in that entire movie that I'm just like, why is this in here? It's dancing scene. I'll even take him walking down the street doing the handguns, you know. I'll still take that. The dancing scene was a little too much.
Yeah.
I also thought it was a little weird to retcon Uncle Ben's killer, but you know, that's
yeah, it's like that's I think a lot of franchises make that mistake with their universe. You know, they make everything connected and they really minimize that universe. You know, there's not a lot of room for, it's like everything happened, you know, this one person affected everything, you know.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, yeah, it is a letdown. But it was kind of cool way to introduce Sandman. Like, yeah, it had some great elements. I think. Thought the Green Goblin thing was rushed. I don't know. I saw that chrome Green Goblin helmet and I was like, why didn't we go with that one? Well, why are we going with this G.I. Joe helmet you got here? You know?
yeah. But, you know, regardless, you know, I really loved the movie in 2007. And that's when I first started getting into filmmaking. And I remember I tried to like replicate some of the scenes in that movie. And like, obviously, my VHS camcorder, it was awful. For years, I always wanted to do like a Spider-Man movie, but I just didn't have, you know, the technical know-how. I never had the cast for it, the resources and anything.
Sure.
So it really was something I kind of just sat on and waited till I was, you know, feeling pretty confident that I could actually pull it off. And, you know, after doing some of my bigger projects the last few years that were really visual effects heavy, I finally felt like, okay, let me just see if I could actually try pulling off a Spider-Man movie with, you know, less than $300.
Yeah, that's impressive. Super impressive. Yeah, the special effects are amazing. I saw some of your breakdowns and I'm just like, how did he do this? Like the thing I like a lot about your films is it's like I love Des Moines. I love the landscape, you know, and you are able to incorporate that into your cinematic world, you know, by adding futuristic elements to it. And or making it like, you know, a suburb to New York, I guess, in a way, or a sub city. I don't know how you would say that. But you blended it so well. It's so crazy to see, you know, just iconic Des Moines areas, and then all of a sudden it's New York City, and it flows well. Like I'm not distracted. You know, it's like you're just able to really put it together.
One thing I knew I wanted to do was not erase, you know, some of the architecture of Des Moines, because it does have a lot of really beautiful skyscrapers, the few that there are.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I thought it'd be cool to keep that in there, and you know, just for the Iowa people that see something like, oh, okay, actually.
It's more representation I think we've gotten in a long time. Only film I can think back that shot downtown was it the Puppet Master, Body Snatchers. I don't know if you remember that, Steve or Mitch. Early 90s, it was a big deal. We had, I think Donald Sutherland was here, or at least
I filmed in Des Moines.
Yeah, they filmed some of it. Yeah, I never saw the movie, but I know they did film in Des Moines. And of course, Des Moines probably didn't get credit for being Des Moines. It was probably Nebraska or something, but you know, it's always something else. Wow. But
I didn't know that. Look into that.
I need to as well, and I can't. I think it was. Yeah, I wish I could remember the film, but yeah, I would definitely. You could probably YouTube some clips from Des Moines, you know, the shots. And maybe you did get credit. I'm not sure. But when you were setting out to do this film, what were some of the locations you had in mind to scout right away? And what locations did you end up scouting for?
I actually didn't really do as much scouting as I wanted. For whatever reason, I never really made it downtown that much to go and pick out. So honestly, what really happened was when we shot those city scenes, Lakin Mims, who plays Miles Morales, come down from Cedar Falls. And then we just kind of went out there, walked around, and then from there just kind of figured out what worked. I had some general ideas, like, I don't know what the area is called, but it's in the movie, it's kind of like under a bridge. It's where the spider sense. I knew I for sure wanted that spot because I love that little the highway bridge that goes over it.
So like Fong's alleyway, whatever, was that like a casual, like, yeah, that'd be really cool. Do you note that in a book, or do you just remember it and hopefully you'll recall it when you need to?
Yeah, what I usually will do, if possible, is I'll hop on Google Maps and just kind of take a screenshot from
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know what they call it, but there's like that mode where you can like go down to the street level and it's a 3D landscape.
Yep.
I basically would use that, and it would kind of help me get an idea of how things like are and how I'd want to shoot it.
Sure.
Snap a picture of that, and then I just have like a little Google Doc catalog of just locations and whatnot.
Oh, that's cool. Was it hard to shoot downtown or anywhere with the costume? Like, would people say anything? I know we live in a more of a heavy nerd culture now, so a lot of people wear that stuff, you know. But I'm just curious. I'm just curious if you ever had to like stop shooting because people are like, "Hey, what's going on?" and da da da. And how do you handle that?
I actually didn't run into any of it on while we were filming out the city stuff because it was super cold.
Was it?
Wasn't that many people?
Yeah.
Yeah, the alleyway was actually like deadly freezing. Like, I'm surprised that footage looks even showable because I was just honestly like rushing through it so fast because Lakin and I were like so freezing. I didn't have any gloves because I needed to work the camera, so my fingers were just dying. So we didn't have to deal too many people. I shot an announcement video saying that I was going to make this movie late 2018, I think. It was weird. Some dude at a restaurant came out while we were filming that. He's just like, "Oh, you guys filming something good?" Blah blah blah. And they're like, "Huh?" I don't want to say it was racially motivated, but it was just me and Lakin, and this guy was a biker, so I don't know.
Oh no.
It was a little weird, but usually people are really cool. I was a really nice place when it comes to filming because people just don't think movies are made here, so when they see it, they're usually like really like, "Whoa, can I be in it?" You know, and they're really helpful.
Sure.
Yeah, not too many issues. It was pretty smooth sailing on Miles.
That's great. How long did it take to make the whole film?
We started filming in August, and then we kind of just like sporadically shot until December. Sometimes there'd be like weeks in between filming, just because people get busy and
sure
whatnot. So yeah, I'd say about August to December was filming, and then from then to release was just editing.
And what were production obstacles to get over? And I know it's probably common with filmmaking. Things change, things come up. You're just saying about scheduling and like were there a lot of reshoots, or do you tend to just shoot everything so it's all covered?
There's always some reshoots, just because you'll put the edits together and you're like, oh, I think if I had a close up here, that actually would help get the point across more. Stuff like that always comes up. Like in the intro scene when you see Electro destroying the city and whatnot. I have a scene that's kind of like a medium shot where it zooms in on just him, floating in the sky, and you see a big lightning bolt behind him. I literally did that shot, I think, like 4 or 5 days before the movie came out. Like, it originally wasn't in it at all. And the whole reason I put it in is because I put out the trailer, and it was like, oh, that was awesome. And I asked my girlfriend, I was like, hey, did you see that guy like floating above the building? He's like, no. And I was like, oh God, if no one saw that, when you see Spider-Man run in there and like drop kick someone, you're gonna be like, what the heck was that?
You're like, I gotta go. You like dress into Spider-Man and wing into the editing bay and get to work. Yeah. Oh,
stuff like that always happens.
That's crazy. That is nuts. That's so crazy how you can. But yeah, like you have the expertise with the special effects, so I'm sure for a beginner it'd be like, yeah, I'm going to need a year or two for this. Delay the film.
At that point, I was pretty much like a visual effects maker on steroids, just doing it so much.
Yeah.
To where I just hopped on it easy.
Wow.
But, during filming, it was actually pretty smooth. The only, I think, obstacle we really had was every time we shot in the warehouse, stuff was always moved around or looked completely different. Which is fair. It's a business. It's not a movie set, Right. It's like some days it'd show up and it'd be like, oh, we gotta do some decorating before we can do anything.
Right. Get the forklifts out and pallet jacks.
Exactly.
Was that shot in Cedar Falls then, or?
Yeah, that was shot at Christie Door Company, which is, I believe, my cousin's business. It's some
nice.
family member that, it's some family member that's more close with my grandpa. He kind of set it all up for me.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It does help to know people, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah, I always wondered, like, if I wanted to shoot something around here, like, you just like, hey guys, see how long it took them to escort me off the premises. That's cool though. Yeah, so it was a lot of like, how much green screen was used? Are you able to share that?
Yeah, I'm just trying to.
I'm sure.
Off the top of my head.
Well, it's amazing because some of it I can't tell. I really can't. And even if I could tell, it pulls, it pulls off and it looks great. And it's just so amazing how many things you can do with that technology. And
thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to drop the breakdown of all the visual effects I did for Miles, because I don't think people know just how much was done. Some things that you wouldn't even think are visual effects.
Sure.
Like were visual effects. Like, for example, I'll spoil one. There's like a quick shot. It's only like 2 seconds in the bedroom. And you can see it like a childhood picture of Miles with his friend Genki from the comics. He's you kind of saw him in Homecoming, although they didn't call him Genki, but he's kind of this overweight Asian kid.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Originally, in that shot, in the photo I used, Lakin, the guy who plays Miles, is actually just standing next to a white kid with blonde hair.
Whoa.
And so I actually went in and made the person Asian just to fit kind of more within Miles.
Wow.
So there's a lot of little stuff like that no one will ever think of.
Sure. And you cameoed yourself too, right?
Yeah. I show up in the spider sense scene. I'm holding
That's
a basketball,
awesome.
which I'm sure everyone who actually knows me enjoys that because they know I'm not athletic at all.
So you're also acting. That's great.
So yeah, exactly. It's the power of acting. I can look like a basketball player.
I love how you set up shots too. Like you had the GameCube controller. You had that nice tribute to Stan Lee. That was cool. Do you have like assistance with that, or is it all like on you pretty much?
It's all on me.
Right.
Yeah. I probably shouldn't. In a perfect world, I'd have maybe a team, but for now, I gotta.
But I mean, it's done. It's done well. So it's just it's a lot of dedication. And did you design the costume? Did you come up with the idea? Because it's kind of a comics inspired look, right? To like the beginnings of Spider-Man. Like I know Homecoming, he had that suit at the end, and it's very effective and creative. And I really dug the color adjustments to Miles. The red and the black. Was that your idea, or did you collaborate with anybody?
Yeah, I worked with my sister to come up with the costume. And what we ended up doing was kind of, I guess, a little bit of a blend of a couple things. The base design was it took a lot of inspiration from the homemade suit that you see in the MCU movies. Just because I kind of like it just had this very low budget street level feel to it.
Right.
That I really loved. But then I also really liked looking at the homemade suit that Peter wears in the wrestling ring when he fights.
That's right. Yeah.
Randy Savage. Yeah. I kind of like to have on these like athletic track pants.
Yeah.
And all that. So I kind of want to just take an influence from all of those to create Miles.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that.
So cool. In all honesty, this movie could not have come out at a better time. It's that whole animated movie that came out. God, it's on Netflix right now.
Into the Spider-Verse?
That stirred a lot of Miles Morales fans, obviously, out there. So I've seen this film that you made hit some of the big circles online, too,
comicbook.com, right? And
the AV Club.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's been amazing to watch the whole journey and how, and I know Josh already touched on this, but how well you made Des Moines look like a bigger city than what it is beyond me. So you've definitely got some kudos there. So good job.
Thank you.
I love watching. I think I've seen it, I don't know, 5 or 6 times already. And, every time I do, it's got 2,000 views on YouTube. Oh, it's got, holy shit, 21,000. You're at 53,000 views today.
That's amazing.
And it's amazing. And you got a ton of comments, and but everyone knows that YouTube commenters are basically, there's a level of hell that's just dedicated to minions typing things on YouTube. But the comments are so overwhelmingly positive. I mean, I can't count how many I've seen people say they removed the tears on this particular part or whatever. And it was just, it's really cool, and you get kudos like accolades that use the words legit, dope, and sick,
all from Steve.
All from me, right? But I mean, in all seriousness, no. I mean, you've got to be really happy with the I guess reception.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like I myself am a Spider-Man fan, so I know that we're a very toxic bunch. I mean, I've talked crap about Spider-Man movies,
right?
It comes with the territory. I'll definitely say it was a relief to see that the like to dislike ratio wasn't 50-50. a lot more likes, and it definitely feels good. And I'm just glad to, put something out there for the fans and for the fandom, because I myself am a fan of Spider-Man, and so it's just kind of cool to let my take live on as its own thing.
The bigger question, and maybe Josh is going to ask this towards the end, is there a plan for another movie in the works?
Franchise.
I'll say for now, and I'm only doing this because, with COVID and everything, I don't want to say anything, and then, we go into lockdown and then I can't even make anything for a long time. I'll say when I went into making this, I definitely have more ideas for it. And I think the film itself I feel like it kind of gives you the impression like, yeah, there's a lot more story going on here than what's going on, behind the scenes and everything. So it's definitely something we'll have to see in the future.
I look forward to that. To go back a little bit, what was that feeling the minute you clicked upload of your film? What was it, just like a big relief, or were you still like, well, while it's uploading, maybe I can change something else? Is it hard to just stop, and be like, all right, it's done?
It's extremely hard. And I'm not saying this to try and sound like a tough guy. I'm just not like an overly emotional person, but like, I'm not a crier. Like I don't really cry. Sure. But for some reason, the minute it was out there in the world, like I almost started crying. Like, it was the weirdest thing that's never happened before. I think it was a mix of like, this massive project I've worked on, it's done. And then also I think just like reflecting on just like the journey to, finishing this thing just really kind of dawned on me. Like I had a dog die, while making this movie. Like it was just such a big journey.
Oh, yeah.
To see that it was finally over. This will sound super nerdy, and
you're in the right place.
yeah, exactly. This will sound super nerdy, but take it in the context of like, I guess, a good way and not in the context of the movie. But literally the first thing I did after I hit upload is I watched Infinity War, and I just watched the ending scene where Thanos is just in his little, he's on that planet after wiping out the Earth, or not the Earth, the universe. And it's just that nice sunset. He just sits there and he just has a nice smile. I just watched that and I was just like, yeah, I did it. I can sleep now.
For the first time in years, right?
Exactly. Like I love Spider-Man, but it has been on my mind 24/7 for over a year.
Right.
And so to finally just know I could relax, I was just like, I just couldn't take it.
I bet. I mean, you probably can't even calculate, or maybe you have all the hours it took to make this film. I'm sure it's just impossible.
I stopped counting after a while.
And did Steve take the opportunity and film a behind the scenes documentary we can look forward to? Just kidding. It's like bottles being thrown. Get out. We'll make something up. No, but and your movie inspired that expansion game. That's pretty exciting. For the PS4.
What timing?
Did they call you or did you call them? That was so crazy though. That was like, wasn't it like a week after maybe, or was it more? It just felt like
2 weeks.
It just felt like it all at once. Like boom. Like did he know this? What's going on? Like that's crazy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, couldn't ask for a better marketing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like, hey, check out this game. And by the way, I made this film, so check that out too. And we could say it inspired it. Doesn't matter. Whatever.
Yeah.
But that is super cool though. Like when that dropped, I was just like, oh my God, that's so cool for so many people. Like, and even if it's not, I think it's just an expansion. It's not an entire game, but still that's really freaking cool. And yeah, I know how you just said Spider-Man was on your mind, like, and then this drops. Like, did you have were you still tired? Like, oh, that's cool. I'm still taking a minute away from Spider-Man.
I was more so just like, dang, I wish this came out earlier because they had some really cool shots in it. I would like to rip off.
Awesome.
I guess I'll just wait for the sequel if I end up getting around to it.
There you go. There you go. Do you kind of, well, I don't want you to give anything away, I guess, but is there, like when you were finished with this, is there more stories in your mind?
Filming the first one, I already had an idea. Just because, like, you know, when you're killing Spider-Man, you kind of have to think of how exactly, you know, events lead up for that to make sense.
Right.
Even though in the short film, you don't really have any context. You're just like, oh, New York is all on fire, like what's happening? But I know it happened, you know, so
right.
It'll be cool to, you know, kind of show what exactly led to what you see in Miles.
Well, yeah, hopefully Toby will call you and you'll put him in your film. That is so cool though, how you're able to, you know, that's so, I mean, it's not really removed, but it was a long time ago, his trilogy, if you will. And it's really cool how you love that trilogy so much, rightfully so. And you take your Miles Morales and you decide, hey, I'm putting him in this universe. He's not going to be in the MCU. You know, stop calling me Disney. I'm going back to Fox here. And I think that's who put it out. No, that's not. I'm sorry. Columbia, I think. Anyway, I'm geeking out myself. But anyway, I just think that's really cool how you're able to, like, that'd be like, you know, if anyone wanted to make a Robin film and put him in a Keaton verse, you know, something like that. That is really cool. And I don't know if there's been rumors that they're possibly going to try and do a Spider-Verse live action. The possibilities of, you know, now we got Michael Keaton coming back as Batman. Maybe Tobey Maguire will put it back on. Like, it's just really cool times. It's just like, you know, all these multiverses, and it's just, everything's acceptable. You know what I mean? Anymore. I don't think no longer a new character or a variation of a character should, you know, make people upset. It's like, it's all possible. And look in the comics, you know, Steve would know, right, Steve?
Yeah.
I think it's really cool too. Is that, like, fans now, like myself, have the power to kind of, you know, go out and make these stories that you otherwise probably wouldn't have seen. Like, I don't know if, you know, Sony ever would have done a Miles Morales in the Raimi series, you know.
Sure.
But as a fan, you know, we actually can kind of the ability to do that. And you see that with, you know, Star Wars. Some of the fans of that are making fan films that people like more than what Disney has done. Right. It's crazy.
It's like, call those people up. Come on. And they won't even ask for that much money, probably. They'll just do it because they love to do it. I think that's what's missing in a lot of these new franchises. You know, they're being run too much by business types and not like actual fans to start with. So, you know, fans, I think, have an idea what people want and what people haven't seen yet. And I think that's a big problem. And I know it's all about money, but I think once you start listening to people, like, for instance, John Favreau is a big fan of Star Wars, and look what he's done with The Mandalorian. Like, that's, I think that's more loved than the latest trilogy, you know?
Yeah, I'd probably have to say so.
But yeah, it's cool. We live in times where anything's possible. You know, like I once thought I couldn't tell my stories, you know, because I gave up, you know, but now it's like there's technology out there. It'll take me time to learn it. But I'm just curious, because I know filming digitally, you can film all you want, right? When you were beginning your filmmaking, well, you kind of did say this, you were dealing with film, correct? Actual film?
And when I first started doing movies, it was like VHS tape that I worked with.
Gotcha. And then how did you insert effects in, or did you do any of that? Did you just film it from the camera?
Yeah. Back in those days, I couldn't even plug the camera into a computer. Like, that just sounded like such a crazy innovative idea to me.
It's like, oh, that's the future, man. Yeah.
Yeah. It was so crazy.
It's just so crazy how, if you wanted to film everything, you have to like cut the film and splice it together. I can't imagine. I think we're so lucky with all the tech we have now, even though there's hiccups with it, like what happened before we started recording, I think I threw my phone into the street and that did it. So, but
I know you said, you talked about, waiting for a while and everything. And I know with everything going on in the world, it's hard to kind of jump out there, but non-Spider-Man projects, you got anything else in the hopper that you're thinking about?
No, right now I'm just kind of on a little bit of a vacation. I'm trying not to think too much about movies right now or any movie ideas. But I do know when I come back, I do want to start to do, some stuff I've already done, like some visual effects stuff, action, sci-fi type things. But I also want to kind of branch out in some other genres just because, I love visual effects. I love filming people getting punched in the face. It's awesome.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. But like, I do also love dramas and stuff where there's not explosions, or, and so I kind of want to get a little bit out of the visual effects box. I feel like I've kind of put myself into and just kind of show like, hey, here's some other stuff.
Sure.
I'll also do.
Right.
I don't know what that is yet, but I know that's something I kind of want to do, when I start getting back into filming and whatnot.
See, and I think that's smart because, you're really building an amazing resume,
yeah, it's
from,
fantastic.
Some very like Spaceman, Flava, Spider-Man, you're just really putting yourself, a real nice clip reel together on what your abilities look like. And that's impressive. So that's good thinking. Well done.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, you represent Iowa well, and for your future goals, just, fantasy if it's to you, but you picture yourself staying in Iowa making films, or do you ever want to hit the big Hollywood scene?
I've always had a mindset that I don't need Hollywood. They need me.
Yeah, there you
so
go.
I'm not gonna go there and beg for work because I can clearly just make a Spider-Man movie here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if they need me, the line's open. But until then, I'm just happy where I'm at now.
Absolutely.
My family's here.
Sure.
Friends are here. So I'm not really in any rush.
I love your answer to that because like with the technology, you can make this stuff anywhere and have them come to you. That's what I say. Definitely for sure. Thank you so much for taking the time and answering our questions. And this has been really exciting, and we'll have to have you on just to geek out again. Now, when you said you're taking a vacation, are you kind of trying not to watch much either? Just kind of have some alone time with your mind and read a book or something? Or?
No, I actually have like a big pile of movies that I've just been waiting to watch once I finish Miles. So I'm really excited to jump into it.
I hear you. Well, could you please, for all the listeners, plug your Lost Utopia films? Yeah,
YouTube is the place to go. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and for Miles specifically, we're on Instagram at Miles Spider-Man Fan Film and on Facebook at Miles Fan Film.
Excellent. One question just came to mind, and this is like a hotspot question, but whenever they decide to, if they don't decide to go with your Miles, let's say, and they're going to, MCU is going to cast their own, who do you picture to play that part?
That's a good question.
I know I should have prepped you for that, shouldn't I?
No, that's all good. I've just been thinking about that myself. Like, who could I picture, currently? I think, honestly, you'd probably have to go, or at least I'd probably go unknown. Just because, I don't know, I find sometimes with some superheroes, if the person you have casted in it is too big, like say you did Donald Glover, I kind of feel like I would see Donald Glover more than I'd see just a character, if that makes sense.
Yep, I got you.
So if it was in my hands, I'd probably just go unknown. Yeah, I don't know who I'd choose.
I know it's tough. Mitch, Steve, do you guys have any ideas?
I like the unknown idea. I think he's absolutely right, because you get somebody like, for example, say Leo DiCaprio was going to be Spider-Man with a previous script. I mean, you already knew him in Titanic. I mean, what would be your basis point to believe that he's this shy guy after seeing a lot of films that he's in? I mean, it just doesn't play well, right? So if you go the unknown route, then of course you've got a whole bunch that you can just, as long as he's got the ability to play what the director's wanting, then it's limitless. I mean, it's just, you can mold him, and then everybody's like, oh yeah, that's the guy. That's who I'm talking about. And then everybody knows. It's not, oh, well, he played in this movie and now he's coming over here, and well,
and then you got to worry about their schedules, because the bigger the actor, it's like the longer you have to wait for your other films. And before you know it, the kid's like 30 years old playing a high schooler, and which has been done. Well, so I guess they could see.
It's also harder from a standpoint of, if the film does well, not to say that he doesn't deserve more money, but a lot of politics get into play when it comes time for the second movie to be made, because then you're talking about a possible trilogy, and where's his mindset at? Is he now overinflated with his ego because he's got this impressive resume as well?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, teenage angst. Yeah, multiplied by 100. Yeah, for sure. That's probably why they sign most of them to multiple picture deals, even if they don't have an intention of making them. It's just to cover their end. But I think there's ways around that. What about you, Steve? Any ideas?
Not really. I tend to agree with the unknown factor, and it's a very slippery slope, and it's tough for actors that are either in the middle of establishing themselves or have already established themselves. If they want a part, sometimes even for those successful actors, it's harder for them to get maybe some parts they want because of that mentality. That, there's the assumption that they're going to either need too much money or, do X, Y, or Z. But it is a slippery slope. I got a feel for actors and actresses that get involved into that, because it's tough, but I agree. I think an unknown would be better.
Sure.
Donald Glover, and Tarrell's right. You see Donald Glover and you think of multiple things that he's done in the past.
Right.
That's not Donald Glover's fault.
No. He's just too damn talented.
And, right now, maybe at this point, he's a little too old for the role. But,
True.
I think an unknown's probably the right way to go.
Yeah, well, and if you look back, everybody was unknown. Like Christopher Reeve, that was his first film, I believe, Superman. And so, a lot of people go, well, we need a Christopher Reeve. Like, well, Christopher Reeve wasn't even Christopher Reeve yet. So, yeah, I agree with the unknown thing. I think that's smarter, and fans can get more material out of it before the person gets too big. And you got to wait, 10 years for a film, like Daniel Craig's Bond films. You got to wait, because he's so damn talented outside of Bond, so there's some problems. But, well, we'll see. I mean, I'm sure after this comes out, I'm sure they'll have breaking news. So-and-so has been cast as Miles Morales. Might as well. Hey, that's a good way to tag this film along. Say, hey, check this out too. Well, great. Well, thank you, Tarrell, so much. You're very talented and always welcome on. And just, thank you for your input and your time. And yeah, it's been fun. I could talk for hours and hours. So, but yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's very nice to talk about it. I've just had all this in my head for a long time, so it's nice to actually kind of dive into some of the stories behind it and all that.
I bet.
I really appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's the end goal, right? It's just to sit back casually and be like, yep, I did it. And Yeah, it's quite an accomplishment. Well, guys, anything else, Mitch, Steve, you want to say before we go?
Nope.
I don't, but just congratulations again. That's one heck of a movie.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, we will be back. I'm Josh.
And I'm Mitch.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Tarrell.
Haha, you're going to be back, Tarrell. I'm kidding. Got you. He's coming back, guys. All right. Take care, everyone. We'll see you again.
Take it easy.